My name is Bryan Johnson. I've been spending millions of dollars creating an anti-aging protocol. I take 54 pills, red light therapy, plasma exchanges.
Hey guys, welcome to my SOFHAB review series. And this time I'll be covering the new Netflix documentary, Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. It's the only time I'm reading that title. And joining me today is none other than Rascal Entertainment.
Hello.
This film shows the fascinating life of Bryan Johnson, who's become an online celebrity for his mission to make his body 18 years old again. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe for keys in the future, reviews and videos and more.
Yes, and thank you for joining us, subscribing to all of our channels, sharing our videos, and so much more. As always, we appreciate everything you do. So, actually, Rascal saw this come up, and I wanted to see it, and I said, okay, let's try it out. Now, the reason I was interested is because somehow one of his videos popped up in my feed on YouTube.
Right.
And I actually watched probably maybe about 4 or 5 of his videos, ones that centered on making a smoothie, making a salad, different ways in which he thought you could create these meals that would have all these nutrients and things that would be good for you to eat. And he mentioned he has a 2,000 calorie diet. So I watched some of the videos, and then I watched one on why he was doing this. And then after that, I kind of just didn't watch anymore. Not because it was no longer interesting, it was just I have other videos more interested in other channels. But when this came up on Netflix, like, wow, okay, so for 88 minutes, I can sit and get a condensed story on Bryan and what he's about. And I said, well, how about you join me, Rascal? And she said, okay.
Yep. And really didn't know anything about this guy myself. Hadn't even heard of him until you explained a little bit who he was on YouTube. And surprised that he had gotten a Netflix documentary rather quickly. But considering he's been around a while now, I guess they decided now would be the good time to actually have him be given a spotlight for this. Maybe for people who are curious or have heard of him, or maybe want to try some things out that he recommends, or just to see his entire journey pretty much. Maybe they would find it interesting to see how he got to this point and his goal.
True. And I can say that it was interesting. Now, the question is, should you invest time and watch it? Well, we'll tell you a little bit about it, and then whether we think it is worth the time of investing 80 minutes. Before we tell you what we think, Rotten Tomatoes, still rotten, gave it an 83% approval rating out of 12 critics, with the average rating of 6.3. Metacritic gave it a 56 out of 100. What's interesting is you find out his entire life story, his background, how he wasn't a guy who was all together like he appears now. At one point he was overweight, he was depressed, he was wanting to take himself out. He was formerly of the Mormon faith. He no longer is a Mormon. He was a child with some other brothers of divorced parents, whom he deals with both of them now, which is great. He was married with 3 children, now divorced, and only one of those children deals with him now. But seeing the relationship he has with that one son was pretty nice to see how well they get along. So you find out what is his motivation behind what he does. What I want to say before we move on is that a lot of people say, well, he's a millionaire, he can do this. What's interesting about this documentary is that he wasn't a millionaire in the beginning. His family was actually not very well off. And he's one of those self-made success stories where he built programs and software for companies. And when he sold his main company, he now is worth over $400 million. Yes, he is selling products by doing this, but who doesn't?
Right. And it's not a long documentary like some of the other Netflix ones they've had. It's only 80 minutes. But in those 80 minutes, you get a lot of information about him, his entire life story, and you actually get to see him do these practices and this lifestyle and these treatments and everything himself. He's literally, they say, a perfect guinea pig. He's doing the results and tests on himself, and you're seeing the results, and he's not telling other people to do it, testing on other people. and you don't know what happens. He is the living proof of the method he's decided to go on.
And he wants scientists and doctors to be able to take this information that they are generating and putting up online for everyone to see, to hopefully use it to help other people live longer. Now, is it something the average person will do right now? No. He spends $2 million a year on his treatments and his supplements and his food and all the things that he does. But he says, however, he hopes that, again, this information can be taken and a more affordable program can be made for others to engage in and get some similar or the same results. Now, this is directed by Chris Smith, produced by Daniel Koehler, Chris Smith, and Ashlee Vance. Cinematography by Chris Smith looks beautiful. It absolutely does. Cinematography is great. Edited by Daniel Koehler and Paul Trewartha, with nice music by Nick Chuba, Matt Cohen, and Leopold Ross. It was originally released January 1st of this month, and we just watched it literally today. When it ends, you find out that he's helping his dad to hopefully have some similar results. His son, his one son, his dad, and himself are all together in this now. And the son leaves to go to college in Chicago. So now he's doing this by himself all over again. And he's going to stick with it, he says, until, I guess, he finds out how long it lets him live. I don't know if it's something he plans on doing the rest of his life. People may get bored with it and move on. I don't know. But here are a few things to point out very quickly. He does say some things that is disparaging about some things that you may or may not agree with, but that comes with any documentary. Also, he has a whole lot of people that are his employees, and he doesn't do a lot of things himself. However, there are things he chooses to do on his own. So you'll see that. There are comments for people who don't agree with what he's doing and totally think he's a lunatic and a weirdo. Again, that comes with the territory. And lastly, he shares with you, and you'd have to take the screen and pause it, all the supplements he takes, all the powders and the treatments and everything. In the beginning, they're shown very quickly, so you have to pause it. Some days he takes 42 supplements. Some days he takes 120. I guess it depends on the day how many supplements he's taking. And as we mentioned, he states that all the products he uses that are available to everyone are posted on his channel, his website, I should say. And at one point, they all sold out. Some people are upset because he's putting his name on extra virgin olive oil and other items. But, you know, just to be fair, everybody on social media wants to get their own products with their own names so they can keep the majority of the income from it. So I think that's one thing you can't judge them on, because everybody does it. And if everybody had the opportunity to make their own products, they would.
Yeah, pretty much.
Should you watch it? If you're looking for something interesting, if you're really curious to see what lengths he's going to live to 120 and hopefully longer, then it's for you. Will you come away wanting to copy him? I doubt it, but some of you may. But it's just something that's interesting to watch, to see all the things that are available now to extend life. It also talks about epigenetics, which I took in a college course, one of the most difficult courses I ever took. And it was nice to be able to understand what was being said here when the specialist spoke. But you don't need that knowledge. You can just watch it and just see what you can take away from it and just be knowledgeable in what's going on. So, if you've already seen The Man Who Wants to Live Forever, let us know in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Did you find it boring? Did you turn it off? Do you think he's arrogant and facetious? Let us know what you think. If you haven't seen it, yes, we recommend you give it a watch. If you're just looking for something to engage your interest, come back and tell us what you think.
And be sure to like, subscribe, notification with these upcoming reviews, hacks, videos, and more.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us today for this Netflix review, for subscribing on all our channels, sharing our videos, commenting, so much more. As always, you are special.
I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Continue to be happy, healthy, whole, also wonderful, my specials. Love you. See you next time.
So yeah, I hope you don't die.